We got some really fascinating source material here, and it's not just about scraping by. It's about how to actually thrive when things feel uncertain.
That's exactly right. And these aren't just, quick tips. The sources frame them as core abilities, essential for your finances, sure, but maybe even more for your peace of mind. So our job today is to unpack these, look at the real world examples from the material, and figure out how you can actually use these ideas in your own life.
Okay, let's get straight into it then. Ready to gain some clarity. First up, a skill that feels more critical than ever in this just information blizzard we live in. Knowing economic news with discretion. Why is this one so important right now?
Well, the source highlights something crucial: economic news. It feels informative, right? But it's not always produced purely to educate. Sometimes it's designed to grab your attention, maybe stir up fear, or even gently nudge you in a certain direction, often for, commercial reasons or political ones.
And they give a really powerful example of that, don't they? I remember reading about the bank rumor spread through a line group.
Exactly. A rumor starts, maybe just whispers, about a bank having trouble. People are already on edge because of the economy, so they panic. They rush to pull their money out.
And the source makes it clear, this collective fear, it actually created a liquidity problem for the bank, even though the bank wasn't actually failing beforehand.
Right. It shows how easily unchecked information, even if it's not a complete lie, can spiral and cause, well, real financial damage just based on fear.
So, okay, what's the takeaway for listeners? The source talks about critical thinking, but what does that actually look like day to day?
It means asking questions like, who's behind this news? What might be their agenda? Is there solid evidence backing this up, or is it just opinion? And crucially, how does this specific piece of news actually affect my financial decisions?
Not just reacting impulsively.
Precisely. The material suggests sticking to reliable sources, established media outlets, government economic agencies, maybe academic research that gives you a balanced view, not just a scary headline designed to make you click or panic. And it stresses knowing the difference between facts and interpretation. Like a forecast might predict a recession, but that's a prediction, an interpretation.
Hmm.
Acting drastically, like selling everything immediately, might mean you miss out if things turn out differently.
That reminds me of the gold price example in the source. People heard the central bank might raise rates, so they sold their gold thinking the price would drop.
Yeah, but then something unexpected happened, political tensions flared up, and gold prices actually shot up.
Ah, so those who just reacted to that one piece of news lost out.
While those who considered the bigger picture, economic trends, global politics, central bank strategy, they were in a much better position to make a considered plan. So fundamentally, this skill is about using news to inform your planning, not dictate your immediate actions. You hear about a potential slowdown. Okay, process that. Maybe it means increasing savings slightly or reviewing investments, not selling everything in a panic. It gives you a financial edge, sure, but just as importantly, it builds mental resilience against all the noise.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Once you're consuming news more critically, what comes next? The second skill feels like a direct response to that uncertainty. Having a backup plan. Why is just having one job, one income stream seen as so risky now?
The source is pretty blunt about it, even jobs that seem totally secure. Well, they aren't always guaranteed forever. Companies restructure, technology changes things. It tells this story, a really relatable one, about a father who was the sole earner for his family. He suddenly lost his job due to cutbacks, no backup income, not enough savings. The family faced huge stress, financial turmoil, just this deep insecurity.
That's a nightmare scenario. But the material doesn't just leave us there, right? It offers a contrast.
Yes, thankfully, it talks about someone else, similar job, similar income. But this person had decided to diversify. They started a small online business, just selling stuff on weekends, maybe an hour or two a day, nothing crazy.
Okay.
So when this person also got laid off, the reaction was totally different. No panic. That side income, which they'd built up gradually, kept coming in. It gave them breathing room. And actually, they ended up expanding that online business until it was earning more than their old job. The key difference wasn't luck. It was having that plan B already in motion.
So for listeners thinking, I don't have time or I don't have special skills, what does the source suggest? How practical is this?
It emphasizes that it doesn't have to be massive. You can start really small, maybe writing articles if you're good at that, selling crafts online, photography, even setting up small automated investments. It's about using skills you already have or learning something new, even just for an hour a day.
Leveraging what you've got.
Exactly. And beyond the money, the source really stresses the mental security aspect. Just knowing you have another option, another income stream, however small, it massively reduces anxiety when you hear bad news or things feel unstable. It gives you this sort of quiet power. You're not trapped. You have more freedom to make choices instead of sticking with a bad situation just because you need the paycheck.
It's about agency, really. Control over your own situation. As the material says, planning before the crisis hits lets you navigate it with dignity. That's powerful.
Hmm.
All right, skill number 3. This one feels different. Countercultural almost. Building a life system of sufficiency. Now, sufficiency can sound a bit like, deprivation. Is that what it means?
Not at all, and the source is very clear on this. Less is more here isn't about hardship. It's about living consciously, wisely, figuring out what you genuinely need versus what society tells you you should want. It's about designing a life where you're not constantly chasing the next luxury or fleeting trend, which just keeps you on that treadmill of needing more and more money.
So it's an intentional choice, not something forced on you. Like choosing minimalism versus just being broke.
Precisely. When you choose to live with what's truly essential, the source says it brings this incredible inner peace. You stop fearing the loss of things you don't actually need deep down. It's very different from forced frugality, which, yeah, often comes from hardship and can feel limiting.
And how does that connect to the bigger picture, like finances and well-being?
Well, living this way naturally frees up resources, not just money, but also time. Time for rest, for thinking, for relationships. And yes, definitely more savings, because you're only spending on what truly adds value to your life, not just on impulse buys or keeping up appearances.
The source mentions cutting endless desires as a first step. What kind of things does it mean?
It challenges you to really look at where the money goes. Things bought just because everyone else has them. Clothes worn once or twice. Expensive meals just for the Instagram photo. Even the time sunk into comparing your life to others online, that's a drain too. When you consciously start trimming that stuff, life gets clearer, less cluttered, mentally and financially.
Okay, but training your mind for that,
Hmm.
it sounds hard in a world that's constantly screaming, buy more.
It is challenging, no doubt, but the source suggests starting small. Set a realistic monthly budget. Maybe limit luxury buys to one specific category or occasion. Find joy in simpler things, reading, cooking a meal from scratch, gardening, having real conversations instead of scrolling.
Right, the source has that great example, doesn't it? The two people with the same income.
Yes. One buys the flashy new car,
Mm-hmm.
high monthly payments, mostly for image, instant gratification.
Uh-huh.
The other buys a decent used car, owns it outright, no debt, and the money saved. They invest it. Maybe in learning a new skill online for a side hustle, maybe just into an emergency fund.
And fast forward 5 years.
The first person is still drowning in car payments, maybe struggling as other costs rise, but their income hasn't. The second person, they've got savings, their side income has maybe grown, they have more time, less stress, more life.
Wow. So less is more isn't about having less overall. It's about having more of what actually matters, quality of life, freedom, that internal security.
Exactly. It's a fundamental shift in what you value.
Okay, this next skill feels very linked to that inner peace we were just talking about. Skill 4, the ability to live with uncertainty. In a world where, let's face it, change seems to be the only constant, how do we stay grounded when nothing feels guaranteed?
The source defines this really interestingly. It's not about being passive or just giving up. It's about understanding that the path to your goal might have to change, detour, maybe even backtrack. But the goal itself can still remain your focus. It's about flexibility, adaptability, not clinging rigidly to how things used to be or how you thought they should go. True courage, the source says, is keeping going even when the way forward isn't totally clear.
But that's hard. Uncertainty triggers fear, right? The source talks about that innate fear.
It does, that feeling of powerlessness, weakness, maybe feeling alone when things are up in the air. It uses that very relatable example. You text someone you care about, and they don't reply immediately.
Oh yeah, the mind jumps to conclusions.
Right, they don't care, they're mad, I'm not important. All those worst-case scenarios kick in, even if they're just busy or asleep. It shows how deeply uncertainty can poke at our basic fears about our own worth.
So how do we manage that if we can't control the external situation?
The insight is that learning to live with uncertainty means recognizing your self-worth isn't tied to having control over everything. It's about staying true to your own goals, being adaptable on the journey, and cultivating inner peace regardless of the external chaos. When things go wrong and you feel that internal churn, the fear, the shame, maybe the source advises just accepting those feelings as normal human reactions, not signs of weakness. Don't beat yourself up asking, what did I do wrong? Instead, try asking, okay, this happened. Do I still want to move towards my goal?
And it suggests practical things, too, like journaling.
Yeah, simple but powerful things. Journaling to just observe your thoughts without judgment. Breathing exercises to anchor yourself in the present moment. Practicing gratitude, even just for getting through a tough day without giving up. Small anchors.
I like the domestic example, too, the one about saying thank you.
Oh, right. Your partner cooks for you, you feel grateful, but you don't say anything, assuming they know. Over time, that silence can create uncertainty in the relationship. They might wonder if you appreciate them.
Even if your feelings haven't changed at all.
Exactly. But a simple, even tired, thanks for dinner, that little bit of communication can dissolve the uncertainty, build reassurance, strengthen the connection. It shows how expressing things, even small things, helps manage uncertainty in relationships too.
So developing this ability isn't about becoming detached or cold. It's about strengthening your inner core, your heart.
Precisely. So you don't make rash decisions driven purely by fear. You learn to wait, let the emotional storm pass until your mind is clearer and you can see options you couldn't see before.
It doesn't make life easy.
No. But it makes you harder to break when life inevitably throws curveballs. It's like an internal shock absorber. It lets you keep moving forward, even without all the answers, trusting that you'll learn and grow from whatever comes next.
Which leads us perfectly into the final skill, maybe the ultimate test of resilience. The courage to start anew, even when you have nothing. When everything seems lost, what makes some people find a way forward while others feel completely stuck?
The source argues it's not usually about luck or some specific amazing talent. It's about an inner fire, a drive. And that fire gets lit, it says, when you ask yourself, do I still want a meaningful life? It comes from realizing that your worth as a human isn't defined by your job title, your bank balance, or your possessions. It's about your potential to get back up, to go further than you fell.
So it's deeply connected to self-belief then.
Absolutely. If you believe deep down that failure makes you worthless, then yeah, hitting rock bottom feels permanent. But if you see life more like an experiment, then every setback, every failure is just data, valuable information. The moment that inner voice shifts from I'm finished to, okay, what can I create now? That's when your mind starts looking for paths, your heart sees opportunities, and you start taking those first small, crucial steps.
But starting from zero, it sounds terrifying. People think it's a huge disadvantage.
And that's a common misconception the source tackles head on. It actually argues that starting from zero can be an advantage in some ways. It's like a blank slate. You can learn incredibly fast, adapt quickly, try bold things that someone with a reputation or assets to protect might shy away from.
When you have nothing to lose.
You can be incredibly decisive. Think about the examples it gives. Colonel Sanders, supposedly rejected thousands of times before KFC took off when he was, what, nearly 80? Jack Ma, failing exams, rejected from jobs left and right, then builds Alibaba. Oprah Winfrey, overcoming poverty and trauma.
What's the common thread there?
In their toughest moments, maybe all they truly had left was that core belief. Life can change, things can get better, if I just keep moving, keep trying.
Okay, that's inspiring. But for someone listening right now who feels paralyzed by fear, what's the first practical step the source suggests?
Face the fear directly. Name it. What exactly are you afraid of? Is it failing publicly? Is it being judged? Is it losing face, losing dignity? Pinpointing the specific fear makes it less of this huge, vague monster and more of a concrete problem you can start to address.
All right, identify the fear. Then what?
Break the challenge down, way down, into the smallest possible daily action. Dream of opening a restaurant, but have no money. Okay, today's task. Write down your 3 favorite recipes. Tomorrow's task. Cook one for a friend and ask for honest feedback.
Tiny steps.
Tiny steps build momentum. They make the huge, scary goal feel less overwhelming, more achievable bit by bit.
The source uses that really stark comparison, right? The 2 guys laid off.
Yeah, it's powerful. One guy gets laid off, retreats into himself, dwells on the unfairness, gets consumed by fear and inaction.
While the other guy?
Same night, he gets laid off. He sits down, lists his skills, figures out what he can do. Next morning, he sets up a tiny stall selling breakfast sandwiches. Maybe he only makes a little money that first day.
But he's doing something.
Exactly. He's learning, meeting potential customers, figuring out pricing. Fast forward 2 years, the source says he's got a delivery service, maybe a small team, he's building something. Meanwhile, the first guy, still stuck, maybe his severance is running out, still wondering why life dealt him such a bad hand.
It really highlights how our response to the same event makes all the difference. That perceived dead end can actually be a starting point.
It's that courage to just jump in even when it looks like a chasm that reveals the hidden path forward.
So how do you find that courage? How do you light that inner fire if it feels extinguished?
The source offers some really grounded advice. Honest self-talk is key. Remind yourself daily. Just because I don't have it today doesn't mean I can't build it tomorrow. Skills can be learned. Resources can be found. Keep a journal, maybe, just noting one small step you took each day. Surround yourself, if you can, with people who talk about possibilities, about hope, not just limitations.
And remember your own potential comeback story.
Yes. The world loves a comeback story. Why shouldn't it be yours? And finally, it emphasizes that having this courage doesn't mean you won't feel scared or sad or frustrated. You probably will. It just means you don't let those feelings stop you. Fear walks beside you, but you keep putting one foot in front of the other. It's about accepting that failure isn't the end of the road. It's often just a detour, pointing you towards a new path that might eventually be even better than the one you were forced off.
Wow. This has been a really insightful deep dive. We've covered so much ground from how we consume information to building safety nets, finding peace and sufficiency, navigating uncertainty, and finding the courage to start over. What strikes me is how interconnected these all are. They're not isolated tricks. They build on each other to create a whole system for resilience, really.
Absolutely. Each skill empowers the next. Discerning news helps you plan better. A backup plan reduces uncertainty. Sufficiency frees up resources and mental space. Living with uncertainty makes starting anew less terrifying. It's a virtuous cycle. Ultimately, it's an invitation, isn't it? An invitation to take back control, to make conscious choices, and to realize you have the power to shape your response, even when you can't control the external events.
I love that line from the source. The broken pieces in front of you can be the very material for your first step. That's such a powerful image. So maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this. What's one small, maybe slightly brave step you can take today? Something to start building that life system, that backup plan, that inner strength that will help you face whatever comes next.
Because, as the source suggests, your life really is like a canvas. And even after setbacks, you always have the chance to pick up the brush and start painting a new, maybe even richer picture.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope this conversation has given you some valuable tools and, maybe more importantly, a renewed sense of confidence moving forward.